Oh, good afternoon. I am Jennifer Banta, Vice President of Advocacy and Community Development at the Iowa City Area Business Partnership. Today, I'm excited to be talking with Brett Koenig and Brian Campbell from UI Reach. UI Reach, which stands for Realizing Educational and Career Hopes, is a comprehensive transition program for students ages 18 to 25 years old with intellectual, cognitive, and learning disabilities. UI Reach is a 4-year program that helps students explore career options, learn skills to prepare for internships and employment, complete job shadowing, and enjoy internship and paid work experiences matched to the student's strengths and interests. After graduation, students have access to consulting services to help aid in employment, career development, and independent living. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Brett and Brian today. Brian, why don't you tell us more about the program and some of the experiences students have?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the intro, Jenny. When it comes to So I work more with the alumni supports. And Brett works during the program. So we'll have Brett start.
Sounds good. So my name is Brett Koenig. I serve as a job developer for the UI Reach program. Students, when they come here, they're taking classes that are career oriented. That's where they'll learn things about, say, appropriate hygiene, managing their time, recognizing their strengths, developing interview skills, as well as resumes. So all that stuff that goes into the job development piece. During that first year is actually when students, though, when they come here, they're doing career exploration classes. So where we're identifying what their interests actually are, separating things from interests and hobbies, and identifying really what would be an area that might be a feasible career position or career focus area for a student as they go into their second, third, and fourth years, and then for after they graduate. So that whole first year is the career exploration. And then after that, in those second, third, and fourth years, as Jennifer mentioned, that's when those internship experiences come into place. So we're still providing the supports when it comes to the time management and all those other areas, but the students then are getting that real work experience where they're getting to work with employers who we've partnered with out in the community, who are really key to our program and making it successful and successful experiences for our students, to provide opportunities on weekly for the students, typically Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and depending on student schedule and employer availability, working sometimes on weekends or at other various hours as well too. During that time when students are working in their internships, employers as well as the students are receiving job coaching support from UI Reach staff, members of our career team who are CESP certified. And with that, we're helping with areas of helping to teach the skills, getting a better idea of maybe accommodations that could be useful for the students, as well as providing accommodation ideas to the employer as well too that could be helpful not just for them, but things that could be universal and help beneficial for all their employees. For example, it could just be helping with creation of checklists for breaking down tasks, things like that that could again be transitioned over for when new staff are onboarded as well. The other part of that we're doing is helping with connecting employers to resources as well if needed. So that could be assisting them with using like the Ask Jan website for accommodation services, or we even provide disability sensitivity training as well here through our program that's free for employers to be able to utilize. So students during those second, third, fourth years going through the internships, receiving those supports, and all in an effort to then have them hopefully have identified what their career area that they would like to go into would be for once they graduate, or at least having them develop the skills necessary to be able to go into various other career paths. And that's where we're trying to maintain those connections with the employers, especially for students who are remaining in the Iowa City or Johnson County area. So that way we can still keep that direct connection to them. And I guess that's where I'll let kind of Brian take over for talking about how then once the students have graduated and earn those career focus areas of kind of those next steps.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brett. So as we talked about in the very beginning, UI Reach is a 4-year program where they can go 3 or 2 years as well. So working with Brett and his team, if they're here for 2 to 4 years, they are building those entry-level skills with those credentials to be provided for when they start a job. And most of our alumni are looking for entry-level positions, which we know is a huge need right now for employers, not just Johnson County, everywhere. So once our students graduate, we have anywhere from 20 to 25 that graduate. Some will go back to their hometowns, and some of them will stay in Johnson County. We had 10 out of the 20 students that graduated last year stay in Johnson County. So that gives Johnson County and local employers an opportunity for 10 entry-level alumni that want to work and give back to their community. As well as, thanks to Brett and his team, they are highly credentialed, and not only hard skills that they've taught, but because they were in a living learning community like UI Reach, they also have those soft skills that so many people struggle with. We actually teach them those type of skills that will help them be part of that community. Not only that, when they leave our program, Brett and his team, led by Jennifer Kremers, they get a resume, they have a cover letter. So all those documents are ready for them for their interview and whenever they're ready to get hired. Some of the things that I provide is that I help them partner with one of our partners in this feature, Voc Rehab, Vocational Rehabilitation. We continue to work with them and we can be part of their team. I think one hesitation for some employers at times is that if I hire someone with a disability, I'm going to have to do all the work. That's not the case. We can help. We talk about that consultation, not just for our students, but also for the employers. And we can come in and Voc Rehab will work with them, and they can have job coaching possibly. And so the employer, that kind of their understanding, we can help them understand that, it's all the potential positives of hiring someone with a disability. To give you a statistic, only 19.1% of people with disabilities are working right now. That is a very powerful number that, that's why our program exists. We want to help with that. So we had 20 students graduate last year, already 18 are working since May of 2022. So not only are we showing that program like UI Reach and the work that Brett and his colleagues are doing, not only showing that our students aren't only qualified, but they're also getting the job as well with all of the background that they have learned at UI Reach. As well as after they get the job, we can continue to work. We can work with that employer if needed. The student can reach out, the alumni can reach out to myself and kind of talk about things that are going on. As well as Brett talked a lot about enhanced credentials. Well, some of those enhanced credentials will go ahead and expire, but we can continue to offer those to our alums if it's not available to the business. And so that doesn't cost the business anything. So we're really excited that, we have grown. We have close to 70 students. When we first started, we only had about 40. So we've really enhanced to year 3 and 4, and a lot of students learn about Johnson County, live in the Iowa City community, the corridor area, and that's where they want to make their home. And we feel that we are able to provide great entry-level positions to employees through our alumni, and we appreciate your time and getting to know UI Reach a little bit more.
Well, thank you. I am so thrilled to hear about this program and your success rate, that the 19% to, I don't know what 18 of 20 is, but it's a lot. It's a high percentage, right? And I wanted to learn a little bit more about what is the ask of the employer. So let's say there's a student that's interested in a specific career path, and so you're reaching out to someone in that career field. What does that conversation look like, and how does that typically go?
Yeah, so while students are in the program, how that conversation typically goes is students can be in paid or unpaid internships. It's really a matter of what the employer is able to do. and also that goes with the schedule. So we said like Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays is typically those internship shifts. And we can be more flexible on those days, being that most of the students' classes are on Tuesdays, Thursdays, for having more morning hours or afternoon hours, depending, again, what is it that the employer is looking for? When's their higher need for needing that additional support? So with the employer, all we look for from them is that just kind of that open and honest communication and feedback, because we're not there 100% of the time with the student. Our students, after going through that first year and as they continue through the program and they've developed more of those independent living skills and those job readiness skills, we don't need to be there that full time. So we'll do check-ins about once a week or every other week, depending on how things are going. And so, yeah, we just need that kind of open communication with the employer to let us know, is there an area where we can be supporting more, or something that they're recognizing with the student, something that maybe they want more education on as an employer for working with an individual with a disability, which we get a lot. And so it's really just having that, and then providing us, again, kind of some of that feedback at the very end as part of what we use for helping to grade our students on areas they can continue to improve afterwards. So when it comes to employers, it's just, again, having that open feedback and providing the opportunity, providing the tasks that student can do and feel as if they're a part and contributing with the employer. And yeah, just allowing us as staff to be able to kind of go in and help support where needed as well.
And the ask for when they're alumni, it's nothing different than an ask for any other entry level position. You know, we would ask that if they needed assistance like vocational rehabilitation, our partner, or job coaching, that the employer would be open to that and understand that it's, you know, the job coach, they will take care of that training and everything and work with the employer. The employer doesn't have to make a bunch of new documents. The employer doesn't have to do this. Voc Rehab, we will all help with identifying accommodations. And, you know, there's been statistics, most accommodations do not cost much money at all. You know, so just educating the employer, the potential employer, on if any accommodations are needed and what it truly does mean to receive supported community employment if needed.
Well, and I want to wrap up with hearing, I have two more questions, but do you each have a success story that you could share with us? You know, maybe a student or an alumni that has found, you know, a lot of success in your program and afterwards? Yeah,
I have one that I think probably Brian and I probably share with this one a little bit is one of our students, they weren't quite sure exactly what they were wanting to do. They were kind of stuck in between two different career paths, one in food service or one in animal care. And for part of their internship, we were able to work with the Veterans Hospital, and they were able to work in their kitchen area, where we've had students before, but with this student, they just showed incredible independence and ability to learn the skills, that they were at the point of where they were helping with making the meals and getting the orders all set. And they went through it and it was a great experience. They loved it, but they decided, you know what, I would still like to try out the animal care side of things to see, because they had initially an ultimate goal of opening their own animal shelter. So then we set up a internship with the Office of Animal Resources, and after getting to meet with the student and getting them set up there, and they went through their internship with them, the student ended up deciding, yes, animal care is where I want to go, want to stay with it. And they actually ended up getting offered a full-time position, or sorry, Brian, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, a full-time position with the Office of Animal Resources. I knew it was at least part-time. And so they've been working with, yeah, it is full-time because they're getting benefits and everything like that. And that students obviously then stayed in the Iowa City area. And as far as I know, they've been successful.
That's incredible. Thanks for sharing that, Brian.
Yeah, you know, I gave that statistic, 19.1% of people with disabilities are employed. We have over 200 alumni from our program, and we're at 87%.
Wow.
So just that alone is an accomplishment. But I think what we are seeing now, is Brett alluded to it, is that the student starts out in an internship just like any other college student. And if they want to stay in their community, they get hired, not because they have a disability, but because they have the entry-level position skills, and they've shown that. You know, and I think that is what we're moving towards, especially in our area, as we have 25% to 50% of our students want to make Johnson County their home and give back to the community that the community gave back so much. There's not many programs like ours in the nation. And so the welcoming of Johnson County and the community for people with disabilities themselves and their families want to give back. And we're really starting to see that starting at the REACH program, progressing to when they're alums, to continuing to work, give back, and be part of their community.
Yeah, I think it shows too when it comes to employment of just the discrepancy in the percentages of the number of individuals with disabilities, the rate of turnover for individuals with disabilities compared to that of individuals without. It's about almost a 35 to 40% difference. And the reason for that being is because a lot of times there is just kind of lack of education, or as Brian alluded to, kind of sometimes there could be concern of I'm going to have to, there's going to be a lot of accommodations needed, things like that, but it's not necessarily the case. And even if there is accommodations, they're not typically that expensive. And when you get an employee, especially like with individual disabilities where they've had to deal with rejection maybe a lot more when it comes to the employment side of things before, when they find that employer who is accepting and is willing to provide that opportunity, they're more likely to stay there for the long term and not go and just up and leave, and then causing, again, those turnover costs that a lot of employers see.
Yeah, excellent. So my final question is, how do people connect with you and this outstanding program?
They can just either contact the UI Reach office, they could just call in. I guess it's depending on too of what it is you're looking for. If it's really Brian or I, when it comes to for if they're seeing if we've got any students that are looking for employment currently, if it's somebody who's wanting to, an employer who's wanting to maybe see about having an intern or learn a little bit more about kind of what would go into having a student intern with their business, then they could always reach out to myself. But yeah, when it comes to especially students that we have as graduating towards the end of the year, connecting with myself or Brian for letting them know about kind of what alumni we have who are staying in the area and what their career areas of choice are.
Excellent. And I will also post your contact information and the website in the notes to this YouTube. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciated learning all about this program. I heard about it a few years ago and was just so impressed with the fact that the University of Iowa, the College of Education, has a program like this to help folks with disabilities stay in our community and thrive. So thank you for joining me today.